Up a couple of typos. One is on page 3. Mr. Miller is not Mr. Miller. Mr. Miller, I'm assuming, is Mr. Moore, made a motion to approve the February 5th minutes. So if we can make that correction, that would be good. And then the last paragraph before the adjournment, I just want to make it clear exactly what I was trying to say, and I think what Tom Roy was trying to say. So I'd like to go to that, I guess it's line 142 and 143, Jess, and we need to re-rate that a little bit. So it says Mr. Roy offered to share updates. And it talks about other projects, but that's really not quite the way we want it to be in the record. Mr. Roy offered to share updates about the Eno project. Chairman Durr declined to add the Eno project to our agenda unless the Board of Selectmen send us our usual letter of request with instructions to do so. And that's just kind of a formal process that's been going on for at least 25 or 35 years. They send us a letter of request to put this project on our agenda. I understand that's not going to be happening, which is, fine, and we're good with that as a committee. We have a lot to do, and we don't want Tom Roy to have too much rest, especially over the summer, now that we've gotten through winter with the highway department responsibilities. So if I could get a motion to get that into the minutes, that would be helpful.
So moved.
Second.
Seconded by, who was that seconded it?
Dave Moore.
David.
Oh, David Moore. Well, thank you, David. Welcome back. I didn't see you up there yet on the screen. Okay, all in favor?
Just Chairman, is this just for this one edit? I do have one other edit to the minutes. Are you voting on the minutes in general or just that revision?
Just that revision right now.
Okay.
All right. So sticking with this revision, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none.
I abstain.
And who abstained?
I wasn't present.
I didn't catch that.
I abstain. I was not present.
Oh, okay. All right. Okay, fine. Thank you. All right. Any other corrections or changes to the minutes?
I do have one.
Yes, step in.
It's line 48 under the O&G report. It says for phase 2B, where it says ACM demolition and encapsulation, that should be encapsulation.
Encapsulation. Okay, good catch. Doesn't hurt to find them as we go along. Any others? So then I need a motion to accept the minutes as a whole.
Move to accept the minutes as they have been amended.
Thank you, David. Well said. Seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none.
Abstain.
With the motion carries. Okay. All right. So we'll move on to the Latimer Lane project. We'll start with a report from Arcadis.
Good evening, everyone. Construction has continued throughout the month of March. We're approaching a good milestone this month in April. I'll let O&G touch upon that further. In our report, we included a summary of the 90-day construction look ahead. Overall, there's been no major budget changes. Currently, we've expended 64.2% of the overall budget, 69.5% of the owner's contingency, and in line with O&G's construction progress billing, they're at 73.8%. So we're trailing them right behind. So we're in a good spot as far as billing goes. That's all I have for now. Any questions?
I had one follow-up comment we made, I think at the last meeting, that we wanted to get a monthly update on the list of errors and omissions in terms of quantities and monies, so that as we get closer and closer to the final days of the job, that we can be prepared for the dialogue that's necessary to settle that. So if you could put that together for us for the next meeting and continue to do that until we're done with this project, that would be helpful.
We
Any
will.
other comments along those lines? Yes, David.
Saying I agree.
Oh, okay, great, great. I don't know, and it's so far, going back to Arcadis Act, if we have a similar list for O and G. I know it's handled differently. I just want to keep both those parties in focus. So as we're, again, winding down and getting towards our final days of the project, that everybody is treated fairly and everybody gets their due monies and the town is protected. So that's something else, Zach, if you could do that as well.
Recording
that'd
in
be helpful.
progress.
Yeah, we're tracking all of the errors and omissions.
Track both and report to us both in the simplest form you can. I don't want to have 45 pages of backup for this report. This is a 1-page, 2-page report for the architectural firm, a 1 or 2-page report for O&G, just a grocery list. That's all we're looking for.
Should
Okay,
just be the totals of how it's already tracked.
right. Okay, all right. Well, we need something. So we'll go on to Tecton if anybody has any other questions for Arcadis. Thank you, Zach.
Good evening, Mr. Chair, members of the the PBC, Justin Hopkins, Tecton Architects. In your monthly update, we can report that for the month of March, 14 new construction RFIs for a total of 265, 6 new submittals for a total of 442. There is an application for payment number 16 slated for approval this evening. We held 13 meetings, combination of vendor meetings, OAC meetings, and field meetings. We issued 2 directives this last month. One of them will be the subject of the PCO 201. That was the result of extensive review in the field and modifications with O&G for an unforeseen condition. As we had mentioned, items requiring owner approval, pay app 16, PCOs as presented by Arcadis and O&G.
Okay, anybody have any questions for Justin? Hearing none, we'll move on to O&G, one of the Davids.
Good evening, everybody. David Parasol with O&G. The follow-up on what Zach shared, we are approximately 75% complete, a little shy of 75% on the overall project. Phase 2A is the classroom wing we've been working on for the last few months, and we're in the final stages. Final cleaning has started. Finished painting is going on. Final coat of touch-up, and tomorrow we're going to have the punch list. Phase 2B, which is the art and media center and music instrumental room in the hallway. Demolition on the wall that Justin touched on has started and it's well underway. Interior framing, demising the 2 rooms, the storage rooms, all the mechanicals. Roughing is ongoing. Sheetrock is going up on those areas. The concrete ramp has been poured in place in the hallway. So I put the phase 2B at approximately 70% complete, and we are on target to turn it over early mid-June. We're going to move into phase 3A, was it Wednesday the 8th, next Wednesday, and the school will take occupancy of 2A come Monday, next Monday the 8th. Currently, for funds, there's $396,151 in the CM contingency. In the CM allowance, there's a remaining amount of $36,843. And the Contractor allowances, there's $374,705 remaining. Are there any questions? Okay,
Hearing none, we'll move on to our first of 11 proposed change orders. I think this is change order number 164 R2.
164 R2, in the previous phases, there is miscellaneous, I call it miscellaneous touch-up and repairs after finished coats were put on in the hallway, and everybody had a better view of the existing conditions. The lights were on. It was decided to do some masonry touch-up and repairs to clean it up and make it more presentable. There were some mechanical equipments that were on long lead times. They arrived, we had to go back and make those white and blend in with the ceiling as well. Miscellaneous items like that. The cost for this is $5,880, and it's funded from the CM contingency.
Okay, and this is basically due to a coordination and scheduling of the job in general. These things are going to happen, not just the lead times, but other issues.
Correct.
Right, okay, all right. Any questions from members of the committee? Look for a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Thank you both. Any further discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. Thank you very much. We'll go on to the second change order. Number 172 RI.
172 RI is for the generator pad in the loading dock area. It's a little bit of a coordination between the generator fuel tank, site layout. When the generator arrived, it was realized that the pad had to be sized to the size of the fuel tank, not the generator. And then when the fire marshal was on site performing his inspections and we're livening up the generator, he requested that a couple bollards be installed between the generator and the concrete pad where the paint dumpsters are located, so there's no accident of, they drop the dumpster and it hits the fuel tank or the generator. The total cost for this work is $9,334. Of which $5,002 is coming out of the CM contingency. And the cost for the bollards is coming out of the owner's contingency with a cost of $4,447.
Comments from the committee members? Well, I'll speak to this word era in the explanation, the description. So I'm thinking that a proportion of this would go into errors and omissions, perhaps. And again, just to have options for us, to consider later. And I'm okay, fine with the change order, but I'm just talking about the breakdown in terms of responsibilities. The guardrail type posts that were requested by the fire marshal are clearly, something that, we as a town will pick up the full amount of that because, that's our situation, and then we have to live with it, and that's okay, fine. So I'm just curious, out of this $9,334, how much of that is the protection, from somebody ramming into the fuel tank, which was not considered or talked about before, which is fine. And it wasn't on any of the drawings, which is understandable if that's the way it is. But I'd like to know roughly, David, if you could give me a number on that. And if you can't today.
No, I have it. The bollards is $4,332.26.
Okay, all right. Well, that's a comforting number, even though it's not something we were looking forward to spending, but at least we kind of know what that net gain is, because that is safety value added, basically, is what I'm looking at, that $4,000.
And
The rest of it is I think up for interpretations as to who was on first and who was on second with that.
It's worth noting as well that only the cost for the bollards is coming out of the owner contingency. The remainder of the PCO is coming out of the CM contingency.
Okay, all right, good to know.
I have a question. May
Yes, Lucian?
I? The generator is what was specified, so it's a substitution.
No, I believe it is what is specified. Yes. I don't think there was a substitution to the generator. It was a long lead item that was purchased. I think it was well over a year ago.
So the difference in the pad is due to the fuel tank,
Correct.
which was not specified.
It's not shown. I don't want to say it's not shown in the spec package for the generator, but concrete shop drawings or the rebar were created based on known information, understood information, and it went through the review and approval process, and that's what the pad was installed as.
All right. So Justin, you want to weigh in on this? From a design standpoint?
Yeah, I think based on our internal conversations, there's a reason why this is being proposed to come out of CM contingency. I think there was an obligation to size the generator pad appropriately. There was also a responsibility to coordinate the size of the concrete pour with the approved submittal. So I think this is one of those ones where there's kind of a
Shared
yes,
responsibility, perhaps?
yes.
Okay, all right, good. I'm good with all that. Any other questions?
Justin, one more thing, if I may.
Yes, sure. Lucian.
Was the pad sized on any of the drawings?
Yes, it
No.
was sized.
So there were dimensions.
Yes,
Okay.
Well, on the contract drawings or on the shop drawings?
on the
don't-
shop drawing.
Yeah, on the
But they were
shop
on the
drawings.
contract drawings. I mean, on the contract drawings, were sizes on the contract drawings?
No,
Okay,
Then
so somebody approved the shop drawings and all that. We can get into that perhaps at some other time, I think. I think the main thing is that, you know, we've at least identified the two big numbers in here, one being safety and the other being a miscommunication of sorts. Any questions, Bill?
Yes, my only question would be, we knew there was going to be a tank to fuel this generator.
No.
And how was it not considered with the size of the pad? And maybe there's no answer to that right now, but that would be my question.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I think that we'll put this on that list of errors and omissions, and also perhaps, you know, the list for O&G in terms of, you know, coordination. I'm not sure, again, who's on first, who's on second, but, you know, nobody's perfect. We're not, and we're just moving forward. So I'd like to get a motion.
So moved.
second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And what I meant to say was, there are no perfect situations or circumstances when it comes to construction, and certainly a school job like this is no different than any other one, so. Because some of us, you know, may be perfect, who knows? Okay, we'll move on to PCO 173.
PCO 173 is a request for an exit sign to be installed in, I believe, Justin, correct me if I'm wrong, is it the north courtyard? Or in
yes,
and it's a special exit sign. So the cost comes in at $884.
And this is requested by the fire marshal or someone for safety purposes? Because this is a better glow type situation than the
yes.
hardwire type.
It's an exterior exit sign. We initiated the change to make sure that it's in conformance with that exterior grade. So
Okay,
this is the design item. Yep.
very good.
So this, to clarify, this was not something that was asked by the fire marshal, the design
Correct.
team.
We had the responsibility to make sure that we had the correct exit sign out there.
Any other comments? Okay, hearing
So I
none.
guess, I'm sorry, one last question. So was there an exit sign out there in the drawings?
Yes, there
And
was
we
the
just didn't have a
incorrect,
right one?
correct.
Okay, did we get a credit?
Yeah, yes,
You-
it's
Reflected in the paperwork, the credit?
correct.
Okay, all right, so we got the credit. Okay. Looking for a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Lucian.
Second.
Second, thank you. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, we'll move on to the next change order, which is change order number 183 R2.
Change order, PCO 183 R2 is for the general trades contractor. It's with miscellaneous carpentry work we asked them to do. Things as when the beam arrived for the soffit in the cafeteria, we had to open up some sheetrock walls and then button it back up. We moved some temporary doors around, and in the vestibule 122.
Excuse me,
Yeah.
David. I'm looking at the change order, and it looks to me like this is sort of material and equipment for additional safety railings with temporary walls and doors. 183 R2.
There's another one for that.
Okay.
I thought that was
That's fine. I just wanted to be clear that we're
183 R2 for the value of $2,954.
$54, correct.
All right, so, well, there, all right, I'm looking at my handwork here, but there is temporary railings that were installed. There was some walls that were opened up and for the beam that went in, and
Okay,
vestibule 122, we had them build a temporary entranceway. So it's a culmination of a few different tasks that we asked them to do. And it's coming out of the CM contingency. The allowance for this specific contractor has been exhausted, and that's why I'm using it from the CM contingency for $2,954.
questions? Bill, David, Lucian? Hearing none. Looking for a motion to accept?
So moved.
Thank you, Ryan. Thank you for the second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, thank you. Motion carries. We'll go on to 187.
187, in building 1A, the two classrooms, 169 and 167, they face the south courtyard with the steel and the brickwork and the windows going in. There was unanticipated coordination and being able to fit the window in, and the caulk joint ended up being a little larger. We needed larger backer rod and more caulk to seal up the gaps and make it watertight. The funds for this is coming from the CM contingency at a cost of $567.
Any questions from anybody? Hearing none, looking for a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, Bill. Thank
Second.
you. Thank you, David. First and second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Moving on to change order number 188.
Change order 188 is for one of the vendors to do miscellaneous carpentry work, again, various areas around phase 1 2 and 2A. The funds for this contractor, the allowance has been exhausted, and that's why I'm using the funds from the CM contingency for $2,894.
Okay, any questions for David? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
Thank you, David.
Second.
Thank you, Mike. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, moving on to change order 194 R1.
PCO 194 in classroom 139, or right outside of classroom 139 at the top of the corridor 133, there is a decorative wood bench. It butts up against a sheetrock knee wall and a window system. And on one side of the walls, there is a column. It is pretty tight to the wall, and it was hard to do finish sheetrock work. And in the field, we decided to have the millwork contractor install wood trim around the sides and top and just blend it all in. It's being funded from the CM contingency for $861.
Questions? Hearing none, looking for a motion.
So moved.
Okay, Mike and Lucian. All righty, thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, moving on to a little thicker change order. Change order number 201.
PCO 201, this is regarding the CMU wall that was touched on a little earlier between Justin and I. It separated the old multi-purpose room and cafeteria from the hallway. The design intent is to remove about 10 feet of it and then build a nice soffit and nice entryway into the new media center. The existing conditions resulted in not being able to do that work. We looked at various options for supporting this block work, which entailed installing structural steel, metal plating, and putting in a couple layers of bond beams. Another option was looked at to just take the block work all the way down, which would take the exterior brick, because the way it was designed, well, actually the way it was constructed, and then reframe an exterior wall with metal stud, dense glass, and install rubber roofing on the outside to make it watertight and build new sheetrock soffits on the inside. The cost for this PCO is $41,166. This is for the complete removal and framing and sheetrocking. The option with partial removal and structural steel came in about $66,000. So this was the better option of the two. I do have photos on my computer if there's a way of sharing, because it can really paint a better picture. I know that a couple of team members have visited the site. We did have on-site discussions. So I don't know if you want to see the pictures, if discussions internally have taken place to better understand
We
this.
can hold on the pictures for now, but I think if we need them, we'll get back to that. The first question that I have is the exterior has got the rubber membrane on it.
It will. The finish will be a rubber membrane.
Okay, and how tall is that and how visible is that?
It's about 4 feet.
Yep, 4 feet.
And if you're standing up by our trailer, you might be able to see like a 6-inch by 4-foot area of it.
So when we drive in or we go around back and we're walking around the building, we're not gonna be able to see this rubber roof for a wall instead of brick.
I personally cannot see it.
Okay.
And I'm looking for it.
You're looking all the time, right? And so just to be clear, the brick was the original plan? Have some kind of-
No, the brick wasn't supposed to be touched. It was supposed to remain in place.
Oh, okay, all right.
But with the way the block work was constructed, and there wasn't any relief angles or lintels for the upper portion of the block work to sit on as the roof lines changed. It was just one wall all the way up. And then at a certain point where the brick started, there were two courses of blocks that went from 6 inches to 10 inches, and it carries the brick up. So by touching this wall, you lose all structural integrity. And the only way to deal with it is complete removal or.
Right, so we're losing the brick, which is, the look on the outside.
Correct.
And we're replacing it with the rubber membrane, which is, a 30-year membrane, I guess, or.
Yes,
Okay.
reinforced.
So that's gonna be good for 30 years, but that would be a maintenance item. And we can't see it.
Correct.
Okay, all right. Other members of the committee, questions, please? If you
And
have-
Not-
go ahead, Mike.
I got a question about the reasoning for going with the complete removal instead of the partial. I understand the cost portion of that, but is the complete removal a better finished product on the interior?
I personally feel it is, because now it'll be a sheetrock soffit, and it'll be at the height that is really warranted for this space. It'll be a cleaner finish. You won't have remaining block work left behind that gets painted over. It's crisp, it's clean, it's new, and it's much more presentable.
Okay, so we're not making a
That's
compromise on the inside in order to
No.
save some money. Okay.
no. Personally, I think it's a better finish, but that's just me.
I
And
think
the
Bill,
money is
you
coming
next.
from where?
Oh, okay, David, go ahead.
And the money is coming from where again?
The owner's contingency.
Even though we had a wall before, now we're gonna have a
I think
better.
you're on
wall.
mute, Bill.
Oh, Bill. Bill, you need to push your button, Bill.
How about now?
There you go. Got it.
So if I could just make a comment, John Salvatore and I took a tour after one of the Wednesday meetings to take a look at this, and actually it was not, I'm sorry, it was a special meeting. And this is clearly one of those areas where you could not have seen this full condition unless you did some limited demolition, which is not typical that early in a project. But once the project started moving forward and the demolition was done, it became pretty clear that this is the way. If we're going to take out the block wall below, you're going to have to take out everything. Otherwise, spend a lot of like $60,000 for structural work, which doesn't make sense.
And that's just for steel.
Steel and masonry bond beams.
Okay, that would be 66,000. You said something like that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. If I can jump in here,
Ryan?
thank you, Mr. Clegg.
You're next,
What-
Ryan.
what's-
Justin.
Yeah, what's strange is that there are other conditions within the space where the expected carrying beam of the CMU wall is present. So it happens at the larger volume of the cafeteria, the former cafeteria, and the former gymnasium is a CMU wall, and it has lower roofs at corridors that are connecting to it. In some areas, that beam that is carrying the roof is within the CMU wall assembly. In the cases of these two lines, it is outside, in fact, bolted to the beams, the columns that are in between the CMU walls. So in order to demolish a portion of the CMU wall, there's no steel that's supporting the CMU wall. So the original fix, the close to $70,000 fix, provided the CMU wall in place with two structural angles through bolted and then grouted at the elevation. Through the team discussions, we believe we've arrived at a more economical solution as well as a more aesthetic solution for this. So credit to the team. and ONG. And members
So-
of the PBC who were part of the conversation as well.
I think Ryan was next when you're ready. Ryan?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I was actually just going to ask for Justin to weigh in and just give his thoughts. So that was.
Oh, okay,
what I was
so
looking
he
for.
did
Thank you.
that. Okay, great. I'm just gonna go back to my original comments about what we see up on the roof is no longer brick. It is gonna be a roof membrane, which has got the 30-year membrane. Nobody can see it. I'm kind of speculating that vertical roof membrane replacement in the big picture of, you know, the roof replacement in 30 or 40 years of different areas of this particular school is relatively acceptable. Can somebody weigh in on that? You know, future, well, hopefully not criticism of anything that we've done as a team, but just the fact is that it is going to be a maintenance item. David, either David can handle that, I think.
So using vertical membranes like EPDM or PVC or TPO is very typical. They do last a long time. The way they're installed up towards the top is the termination bar, and it anchors it in, and then the whole thing is glued to the wall. If this was taller than 4 feet, there would be termination bars every 4 or 5 feet to give it even more vertical or lateral support. They put in I think it's called the R2 strips along the base, where when it goes vertical and it turns horizontal, it locks that down onto the roof to give it the structural integrity so it doesn't pull. And then there's the overlap and then seaming the strips. It's a very widely used method. What's nice here is you won't see it. It is a 90 mil membrane. It's the thickest you can come up with. It's better than a 60 mil reinforced. So I really don't see any concerns with this method. I mean, if Justin or David Cravenzola want to, you know, talk about it further, but that's my opinion and that's my experience.
In terms of the other sections of the roof that this comes down onto,
yep.
Are they going to have to remove this in order to reflash or get their rubber roofing underneath it? You know, because you've got a flat roof going to a vertical, you know, wall, and you've got some kind of. Go ahead.
You're going to have the lap joint, so the horizontal roof will come and it'll go up the wall about 6 inches, and then the vertical will come down, cross over the lap, and it'll go about another 8 inches on the flat. So you're going to have that complete overlap that creates the seal.
Okay, so they'd have to be done again at the same time.
Yes.
Right. So I don't know, what's the forecast for the roof, the flat roof, in terms of how long is that going to last compared to this vertical membrane we're putting up that's going to last 30, 40 years or more?
It's the same material, same warranty.
Material, and that's all new.
Yes.
That's all new as part of the project.
Correct.
So in 30, 40 years, when we're not going to worry about it, obviously, whoever does have to worry about it will be doing it as a matter of course. That would be the standard operating procedure to put the new roof down all the way up the wall 6 or 8 inches, put the new membrane down and lap that down to the 6 or 8 inches. So we haven't left them with any kind of problems. That's all I want to know.
Yeah, no anomaly.
Right.
I mean,
Okay.
unless technology changes 30
Well,
years
yes,
from now.
yes. If they change the technology, that's different. Go ahead, Bill.
Quick question.
Yeah.
Warranties are the same?
Yes.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, I think we've covered quite a bit of our bases here. And anybody else have any questions? Hearing none, looking for a motion to accept.
Move to
So moved.
accept.
Okay, we've got Bill and David. All right. Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. And thank you, David, for the extended explanation and offering of the photos. Going on to change order 202. A credit. of $18,000. Go ahead.
Yes. So in short, there's a review and an opportunity to use mineral wool for the exterior insulation. And we purchased that and then took a credit on this spray insulation. And the net credit is $18,220.
Okay, good news. Thank you. Questions from the committee? Hearing none, looking for a motion.
So moved.
Thank you, David. Moore.
Second.
Thank you. I think that was Mike Egan. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. We move on to the 10th, almost the last, 204.
PCO 204, this one goes back to the soffit in the kitchen, I'm sorry, cafeteria. We did request some funds to cover potential overtime costs for the painter, the ceiling contractor, the flooring contractor, as we were racing towards the end to finish phase 2B. I was able to get all the paperwork together. That's what this change order is for. I think the request was approximately $6,000, and we only used $848.
Well, that's good news. I can't argue with that. Any comments or questions from the committee members? Looking for a motion?
So moved.
Thank you, David.
Second.
Thank you, Bill. Well, Bill's hand was up. I didn't see your hand, Mike. Sorry about that. That's okay. Anyway, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. And again, thank you, David, for holding this down way below the original estimate of $6,000. That was nice to see. I think our last proposed change order is 205 RI.
PCO 205R1. This is for
Right.
the tack boards in the classrooms. We found in phase 2A there was glue dobs used to hold the current tack boards in place, and as we started the work, it was found that there is a troweled on product that covered the entire area of where the tack boards were. I think the originals were installed when the school went up, and then at some point they changed and upgraded the tack boards, thus the glue dobs. TRC found the product, they sampled it, the troweled on mixture, and it came back positive for asbestos. And to get out in front of phase 3, 3A, 3B, and 3C, I walked to school with the contractor. We reviewed the contract documents of what they own, what they don't own. And this is to cover the additional cost of the troweled on asbestos. And it comes in at a cost of $11,178. And it's being funded from the owner's contingency.
Okay. Questions, committee members? Ryan?
You said you did the walkthrough and you went through what we own and what we don't own. Are you saying that there's other areas of this asbestos remediation that is not covered by this PCO?
There are other areas where there's a complete wall demolition taking place. So that's just going to go out. This is specific to walls that remain in place that have to be cleaned up and taken, brought down to a clean surface.
On site.
I'm sorry?
On site.
On site, correct.
All right, so are those other demolitions, are we going to see that in a future PCO, or is that we're not going
No.
to see those?
No.
Okay.
That's part of the demolition cost, and it's already been carried.
No.
You have those costs carried.
Right, I
Mr.
think
Byrne?
what Dave was referring to was specifically what was carried in the contract was the glue dobs. They were identified as hot, so there was already cost carried in the contract for that. So that's not part of this PCO. It's just the mass removal of the entire surface area behind the board minus those glue dobs.
Understood. Thank you.
I would just point out to the committee that the PCO first was presented as $16,732. And through the review, we were able to get a sufficient credit for the contract work that was part of the glue daub removal. So
Okay.
that's why this is an $11,178 PCO.
Okay, well, thank you. Any other comments or questions? Looking for a motion to accept?
Move to accept.
Thank you, David.
Second.
Second, Ryan. All those in favor?
Aye.
That concludes our change orders for tonight. And I think we can move on to invoices to be paid. Our first invoice is with Arcadis. March 25th is the date, 2024. The invoice number is 344-24985 in the amount of $13,318. Any questions for Arcadis? Do I look for a motion here?
So moved.
Second.
Second.
Okay, we got second, Ryan. Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, we move on to the second invoice, which is Tecton. And that is dated 3/27/24. Invoice number 47095 in the amount of $20,073.
Move to approve.
Second.
Second, Mike, thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, we move to the third invoice to be paid, which is with TRC. March 26, 2024 is the date of the invoice. Number 642273 in the amount of $3,160.
Move to approve.
Thank you, David.
Second.
Okay, Mike. Second, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, we move to the fourth invoice, which is with Connecticut Communications, dated last year, 12/14/23. Invoice number 361071. I believe that's P as in Peter. In the amount of $39,880. Any questions or comments about this?
Move to approve.
Second.
Thank you. Before we vote, Jason, are you in there somewhere? Jason Casey?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, just looking to see why it took them so long to get this bill to the Public Billing Committee. This is from last year.
It's a incremental process as the build is going out. So the switch
Okay.
went in phase one, then they did more work in phase two.
Okay. All right, well, just, keep on them if you can to get these in as soon as possible, I guess is all I'm saying.
Yeah.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, we go on to the fifth invoice, which is with Singer Kidridge. And the date is 3/19/2024, number 440739, in the amount of $1,078.15. Motion,
So moved.
and I see a second, I think, Mike, thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. And we get to our final invoice, which is application number 16 from O&G, dated March 28th, 2024, in the amount of $1,132,336.77. Looking for a motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, seconded by Ryan. Thank you, Ryan. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. Okay, so that brings us to the end of our Latimer Lane renovation project for tonight, discussion for tonight. Any other quick questions that we have for David or Justin or Zach? We'll move on to a brief discussion about the Terrafill roof and the central roof. I believe that Jason or Tom Roy has just an application they want to run by us that's part of routine business.
Yeah, so I've provided the plans and documents for both projects as links. I hope everyone received them. I apologize they got out as late as they did. However, for state reimbursement, we're looking for a set of motions for both projects. I can have that put up on the screen unless someone has it in front of them. So for tonight, there's the motions for each project, and then there's 2 invoices that need approval for the architect.
Okay, well, let's start with a motion for Terrafill roof. You want to put that up on the screen? Or have Tom or someone do that?
You have that, Tom?
I just made you, Jason, I just made you host so you can do it. I don't have access to my Simsbury email.
Okay, give me a minute to get it on my screen.
Okay,
Okay.
that's fine. And as you can see on the agenda for other members of the committee, this is all being done by Chakouski Holmes Architects, which is kind of our go-to roofing engineer company in the last several years.
Okay. Can everybody see that?
Okay, I got it.
So it's 3 motions, 1 for Terrafill, 1 for Central. They have to be different as the dates and dollar amounts are different in them.
Okay, David Moore. Are you ready?
Move to approve the final plans and project manual dated November 10th, 2023, prepared by Jacuzzi Humes Architects LLC for the Terrafill School re-roofing and related project.
Need a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mike. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. I'll go back to David again, if you will.
Motion to approve the Terrafill School re-roofing project cost estimate dated June 26, 2023, prepared by Jacuzzi Humes Architects LLC in the amount of $975,736.
Second.
Who's going to do the first on that? Oh, he did the first. I'm sorry, David Moore. Thank you, Mike. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, we'll move on to the third motion, I guess. 3 motions.
Motion to authorize the Public Building Committee Chair, Richard Durr, to sign the Department of Administrative Services Form SCG-042 to request a review of the final plans and project manual prepared by Jacuzzi Humes Architects LLC for the Terrafill School re-roofing and related work project.
Second.
Second, Mike, thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any
Aye.
opposed? Hearing none, we'll move on to Central.
Motion
Anybody
to
else?
approve, motion to approve the final plans and project manual dated March 4, 2024, prepared by Jacuzzi Humes Architects LLC for the Central School re-roofing and related work project.
Second,
Second.
thank you, Bill Clegg. All those
I
in
just have
favor?
I have a
Oh, go ahead.
question.
Yep, sure, Mike.
Due to these being separate items in our agenda, do we need to move on to the Terrafil invoice before we get to Central School, or can we make all the motions now?
My understanding, we can do the motions now and then the invoices separately.
Okay, I just wanted to confirm.
I believe that's correct, based on our kind of standard, agenda for all the schoolwork that we do. So continue, please, David.
I did finish the
Yeah,
first
okay, we
motion.
need a second then.
I believe Bill seconded it.
Bill seconded, okay. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries.
Motion to approve the Central School re-roofing project budget cost estimate dated March 4, 2024, prepared by Jakunski Humes Architects LLC in the amount of $369,983.
Second.
Second by Mike, thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. And the final motion?
Motion to authorize the Public Building Committee Chair, Richard Durr, to sign the Department of Administrative Services Form SCG-042 to request a review of the final plans and project manual prepared by Jakunski Humes Architects LLC for the Central School re-roofing and related work project.
Second.
Second, Mike, thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Hearing none, the motion carries. Now we'll move on to the invoices. Sorry to step out. Somebody's at my door, but I'm okay. I'm still looking for these invoices. Okay, you have those invoices, Jason?
One of them was I believe, last page of the packet or close to the end of the packet.
Okay,
Let me try and,
I didn't notice it myself as I went through my paper packet.
No, there was an invoice there for Terrafil School.
Okay, all right. Does anybody else have that invoice in front of them? Or can they find it?
Yeah, I have it here.
Okay, there's two.
I have the Jakunski Humes. If we need that.
254.
Someone will read the date and the invoice number and the short paragraph language for the bill, for the record. Bill?
Invoice,
I can if you,
Oh, you can't.
invoice
say it.
go ahead.
number
Go ahead, Mike.
24060 dated March 1st, 2024. And it is for a 90% billing of phase 2 contract documents and completion of phase 1 schematic design and design development. And the total due now is $8,550.
Okay, I think that'll suffice. I'm looking for a motion.
Move to approve.
Second.
Second, Mike. All those in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none, we'll move on to the Central School invoice. You can read that for us, Mike, when you get to it.
This is the one that was sent as an email, right?
Yes. I can put that up on the screen as well if you want.
If you can, sure, go ahead. That would be
That'd be
great.
great.
Just for the other members.
Yeah. Let me find it.
I got it up too. I can read it if needed.
Just had it up. Oh, there it is. Okay. Okay.
Okay, got it. Okay, so this invoice is number 24090, dated April 1st, 2024. And if you can scroll up, if you call it, keep going. We've got a balance due of $5,940. And this is again for completion of phase one, schematic design development, and 90% of phase two contract documents. And this
The
is,
due now is 4,950.
right.
Move to approve.
Thank you, David.
Second.
Second, Mike. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And if you can, while you're there, Jason, if you can just, quickly screen the previous one for us while we're looking at the screen from Airfill. Okay. Scroll up a little bit.
Yeah.
All right, there you go. So that's already been voted on. That's all set. I just wanted people to see it for themselves. And I think that we've got both of them covered. Any questions about either one of these invoices from members of the committee? Okay, I think that concludes.
Hey, Mr. Chair, if I could interrupt for a second.
Yes.
Just before the invoices, those motions that Mr. Moore read so beautifully into the record.
Yes.
We did the same dance of motions with our Board of Ed last week, and by having both this committee and the board approve those motions, I would want the town and the taxpayers to know that that makes us eligible for a 35% reimbursement on this project, on these two projects.
On these two roofing projects.
Yeah, so
Okay.
35% reimbursement on approximately $1.35 million. So
We can
just want people to understand why the Office of School Grants operates in strange ways.
Yep.
But those motions are necessary to get that kind of reimbursement.
Okay, all right. Well, Neil, we can add that to the minutes that you reported in on behalf of the Board of Education that on that total expenditure for the town of almost $5 million, we're going to receive a 35% reimbursement for those roof projects, which is, of course, takes the edge off, and that's wonderful. Okay, thank you, Neil.
Not your usual rate, David, but 50 grand a paragraph's pretty good.
He's working up to it.
I'd have to move down to Stanford for that.
Yeah, well, maybe even farther. Okay. Not part of the record, please, Jess. That was just a off the record comment. I would
Okay.
entertain a motion to adjourn unless there's any other business anyone else wants to discuss on the record.
Move to adjourn.
And I hear a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Hearing none. Thank you all very much. And thank members of our team, if you're still out there, for your participation in tonight's meeting.